The Great Reset is a vision from the World Economic Forum in Davos that calls for dissolving the boundaries between the public sector and the private sector, dissolving the boundaries between nations, dissolving the boundary even between the online world and the offline world to work together towards the singular global common good as articulated by the likes of Klaus Schwab. What we're seeing in Western democracies around the world is a rising, an uprising. I'd call it, yes, in a good way, a populist uprising of everyday citizens who say hell no to that vision. I'm not some vague, nebulous global citizen fighting climate change somewhere. I'm a citizen of this nation, in our case, the United States of America, and I'm proud of that, and that citizenship means something. That's what I call the Great Uprising. But for the Great Uprising to actually succeed, we have to stand for something, for an alternative vision. What is that vision? It is sovereignty. That's the opposite of the Great Reset. We've been searching for what it is. What does it mean to be the opposite or in opposition to the Great Reset? It means we are sovereign at the level of the individual, the family, the nation, and God. Individual, family, nation, God, that beats race, gender, sexuality, and climate. If we have the courage to actually stand for something, for our vision of what it means to be sovereign as an individual, that I am an agent, free to achieve what I want with my own free will, not riding some fake tectonic plate of group identity. My membership in a family, the ultimate unit of governance, the best known form of governance to mankind in our country or any other one. That I'm a citizen of a nation, and that means something, that national identity is part of my identity, that the nation state grounds me, and I'm not going to apologize for my pride in it. And my belief that we are one nation under God, that God doesn't have to be some four-letter word or treated as such, but that we are part of something bigger than ourselves, that there is a God that puts us here for a purpose, and that gives us our sense of direction in this world. That's the opposite of the Great Reset. Particularly, let's talk about that topic of national identity. We've fallen into this trap of believing that there are globalists who want to make the world a better place, and then there are those of us, I call myself one of them, nationalists, who believe that it's the job of leaders to look after the interests of our own nation. And we've almost ceded the argument to the other side by saying that they're arguing for how to make the world a better place, where we're just here talking about how to make our nation better. Well, I think that's the wrong framing of the argument. It's not the fact that the people who want to make the world a better place are going to be successful at doing it. The way we make the world a better place is for leaders of each nation to make their nation the best version of itself. That's the true positive nationalist vision, is what it means to be sovereign at the level of the individual, the family, the nation, and a nation under God. That's how we ground what I see as a multinational conservative movement of everyday citizens of those nations stepping up to say, you know what, here's how we're going to help each other and help the world, is each of our nations to be the best version of ourselves. For me, that's right here in the United States. But if that's Giorgia Meloni in Italy, or Viktor Orban in Hungary, or whether it's Bukele in El Salvador, or any other leader in any other country who says that, you know what, my job is to make sure my nation and the citizens of my nation are best off, that is how you make the world a better place. And that's the alternative vision to the Great Reset. And it's up to us as conservatives, as citizens of actual nations, to step up and stand for that vision rather than just getting worked up over what the other side puts up on offer. We have to offer that alternative vision of our own. And in Western democracies around the world, I think that starts with sovereignty.
The biggest players on the biggest stages getting together, talking about some of the technologies that you and I have. Who are they? Why do they meet up, and why does it matter moving forward? Well, I think there's some big things coming up here soon. And again, it's who they're connected to. So the first thing we're going to do is jump into the Decent wallet. It helps benefit the channel, not your keys, not your crypto. Some significant discounts, especially if you don't own a hardware wallet. Take self-custody of your crypto. We're going to play that, and then we're going to jump right back.
If managing your crypto feels like solving a puzzle, it's time to switch to Decent Wallet. It's just a few taps. You can manage, track, and secure your crypto with unmatched ease. And here's the best part. Grab your Decent Wallet at a discounted price by using the referral link below. Don't miss out on making your crypto experience smoother and more secure.
All right, welcome back. Let's jump into the material. EY Global Blockchain Summit. It happened from the 1st to the 3rd of this month. Again, a lot of these speakers kind of flew under the radar. The first area of emphasis is this gentleman from VenEck. He is Aaron Renkers, head of investments. Again, the biggest players meeting together. What is next for it all? So basically, are you aware that VenEck has this thing that happened not that long ago, posted on April 15th from the blog, states analysts claim two factors position Ripple XRP ahead of other assets for spot ETF approval by the SEC. As we see here, when we get further down into it, in anticipation of the crypto-friendly Paul Atkins, of course, taking the role of the SEC chair left by Gary the Gopher Gensler, we see that a slew of asset managers, including Bitwise, Grayscale, and VenEck, have been filing additional crypto-related ETFs, of course, in the recent months, with the deadline decisions now fast approaching. If you're more aware of it, XRP does lead the active ETF applications according to Keiko data, with 10 filings now, followed by 5 for Solana ETF and 3 each for Litecoin and even Dogecoin. And again, that's from the block.co, posted literally today. As we take you further into this, next area of emphasis will be back on EY. Well, as we know, EY Global Blockchain Summit, they kind of stand out when it comes to all of this. So Amarjit Singh, EMEIA Assurance Blockchain Leader. Next to him, you see Amidav Glickstein. He's a senior manager, software architect, and technical lead over EY. And constant others when it comes to EY, as you see here. Even Shen Zhe, Financial Technologies Innovation Leader. And by the way, AI and blockchain. And again, you see other key participants that showed up here as speakers from EY. EY had the most amount in their showcase listed here. And of course, we'll get into some of the other key people here and why it matters. But nonetheless, wanted to share this with you because when I jump on over to this, well, this is from Decrypt. XRP allocations more common than Solana among institutions. You see Coinbase, EY. Asset managers filed applications for exchange-traded funds tracking both assets and interest in altcoins. And basically, has that risen? Yes, absolutely, that's risen. And key emphasis again on XRP. So it's interesting to see that institutional investors surveyed, of course, by not only Coinbase but EY, were more likely, listen to this everybody, to own XRP than Solana in January. And of course, that was from this report, but that is incredibly interesting to see some of the terminology, to say the least, and especially as some of these people literally from this EY summit present and speaking in regard to all other participants, whether they're from some of these other organizations like SAP, Nexus, and so on. So the next one we're going to get into basically is this. And you're going to see that person here in a moment. And I want to highlight this for you all. So we're going to talk about basically that, Nexus. Nexus gets brought up every now and then. And I want to give a shout out to our brother in the community. We had a wonderful X Space. And it's back. We're hoping to do it bi-weekly. By the way, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. But it's our brother in space, Sebastian. He points out Project Nexus smells QNT in every way. How so? Quant's Overledger has JSON APIs. I point this out with my collaboration with Rue Black. JavaScript, ISO 222 messaging. As we know, ISO 222 messaging, that coexistence period with Swiss MT ends. It will be ISO 222 with MX messaging, standardized via TC307, the Quant Network standard. But his bet is that they will power the Nexus project. Well, how would that be so? Well, it's this statement from the screenshot from Sebastian. And it states IPSS communicates with the Nexus gateways via a standardized set of APIs and ISO 222 messages. This common technical interface enables IPS operators to connect without having to adapt to the unique approach of each other's country. Nexus enables IPS to connect even if they do not use ISO 222 standard. This is achieved via an intermediary step of translating their domestic formats, of course, into ISO 222 format. Very interesting to see that. And again, when we talk about Quant and APIs, well, it's the whole concept of gateways, is it not? Nexus Gateway software, again, uses those APIs and ISO 222 messages to provide a standardized way for one IPS to communicate. And basically, you kind of see how that all comes together. Now, this is Floris Lugt, not pronouncing that right, lead of digital assets over ING Bank. And as we pull this up, you're going to see another key thing. Well, what blockchain is ING Bank partnering with? Well, some of you guys feel as though you already have the answer. But if anything, a lot of that's speculative. But here's what's not speculative, even on a simple question and answer with Grok. Well, R3 Corda. And as you see here, ING Bank actively involved in exploring and partnering with various blockchain initiatives. But it's the whole thing that ING had a significant partnership with R3. When we get further into that, just in case you want the other citation from an actual site, AssetServicingTimes.com and many other publications talked about this years ago. But back in 2019, ING did in fact sign a Corda enterprise deal, of course, with R3. Now, again, think about this. Who is the settlement token for R3 Corda? Well, we already know about the R3, or I should say XDC R3 Corda bridge, and we already have the answer. XDC definitely stands out. So for me to see ING there, basically says to myself, yeah, that makes XDC stand out. It's this guy, Igor Mandrigan. I pointed this out about roughly January 2024 about the significance of Stellar and Gateway FM. Now, this gentleman is the co-founder and CTPO over at Gateway FM. Again, some of the biggest players, and some of them aren't as big as the other ones, let's just be honest about that, but they're all coming together. There's a call to action, literally. And again, I don't think there's enough emphasis on some of this. So Gateway FM, again, why point that guy out? Well, again, when we point out some of this, it brings us to this. And you're welcome to see that deep dive if you choose to do so. I might even put it as an end screen card video. It says from Gateway FM, the need for public RPC infrastructure in DeFi. We got you covered. Their team was happy to announce that they become, at least at that time, the RPC provider infrastructure, of course, for Stellar with Sorbonne. So that means smart contract functionality. And we see public RPC infrastructure. Gateway _ ETH was head of infrastructure, and you see how you have the participants. They even showed up to Meridian. I don't know if they showed up to 2024, but they at least showed up to 2023. Again, providing the free RPC infrastructure on private data centers with high rate limits for Stellar ecosystem partners. This is probably one of the most slept ones of the Stellar ecosystem. And again, they're basically part of this particular summit. So that stands out in regard to Stellar, 100%. You also see James Angle. He's associate professor over at Georgetown University. Again, why point some of these other key participants? Well, the way I look at it, why not? Because when we get further into this from alumni.georgetown.edu, you see in the tag Ripple, you see that Georgetown was recognized for expanding conversations on the future of blockchain tech, and you see that Georgetown Law and the McDonough School of Business have been awarded, at least at that time, $1 million through the Ripple University Blockchain Research Initiative to advance academic research. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was about 21 different universities. But the bottom line was research, technical development, and innovation into blockchain and, of course, cryptocurrency. At the end of the day, who better to represent Georgetown University than somebody like this, who's James Angle? Again, I think this is very important. If we're educating ourselves about what these technologies do moving forward, then who better than our top educators from the most prestigious universities? As we take you further into this deep dive of what I have for you, I want to pull this up. And the next area of emphasis is basically going to be this next particular person because, again, I wanted to point out so much of this. So Jana McIntosh, I don't need to really get further into the whole thing of UK Finance. We know that UK Finance was one of the lead participants with the UK RLN, Regulated Liability Network. So again, she's there, Jana McIntosh. But when we get further into this, you see here, you have Junxue. He's the director of loan and trust fund operations over at the World Bank. And this part, pay attention to this because this is going to unwind here soon with the updates from the Quant network. And I think that's definitely worth pointing out, especially when you see the terms of loan, trust, again, all this stuff. So World Bank, we also, of course, know, and if you're new to this, that the World Bank, of course, has pointed out numerous times Ripple XRP, Stellar XLM, and just in case you've never seen this, this is cited from this particular document, World Bank org. It's this PDF for 2021, as you see in the citation bottom left, World Bank Group, and it's basically page 39 of 46 when they refer to at that time, because you got to keep in mind, yes, USDC stood out, but Stellar already had XLM at that particular point. Ripple did not have, for example, RLUSD, but they pointed out both of these of Ripple XRP and Stellar XLM as quote-unquote stable coins for cross-border payment. No, not pegged to a dollar, obviously, but a stable store of, I guess, a stable coin, right? Say that 3 times fast. But stable coin, like they reference, refers to a class of digital currencies that are relatively stable in terms of their price. Stable coins offer instantaneous processing and security of payments, as many cryptocurrencies do. But the key thing is they pointed out 2 digital currencies that fall into this category, of course, were RippleNet's native digital currency, Ripple XRP, and Stellar Network's native cryptocurrency, the Stellar Lumens XLM. Both Ripple and Stellar enable faster and more efficient cross-border payments. Again, that was from the World Bank. There's another document out there, actually, that refers to Quant as well, but I didn't want to make this overbearingly long. Now, as I take into this next particular participant is Karen Scarbrough. She is the Senior Technical Program Manager over at Microsoft. Again, the biggest players at a particular summit. So at the biggest stage, let's face it, some people say, well, there's bigger stages. Hey, I don't want to get too super technical, but I found this incredibly interesting because when you get further into this, well, check this out. You see here the XRP connection to Microsoft with what? Azure Marketplace, as pointed out right here, and it's kind of hidden right there. But top middle area, and of course, look at what it says. Products, XRP full node support, and it's these particular systems. And as pointed out here, in this version of 1.3, complete setup for XRP includes code, fish shell, and ledger. XRP ledger, decentralized public blockchain. We understand that peer-to-peer. But it says XRP was designed with the native asset of XRP ledger to enable a generation of digital payments faster, greener, and less expensive than any other digital asset. Interesting to see some of the terminology and what they specifically point out in that regard. And I think that's definitely worth noting, the connection of Microsoft and, of course, XRP through the Azure Marketplace. All right, so that's XRP. At the same time, it's almost as if, like, Quant says, all right, well, guess what? Hold my beer, because Overledger API integrations. And we see with the API integrations, you have 1 of 24 integrations when it comes to the Overledger API and also what? Microsoft. And of course, there's the whole slew of all this. And if we were to get further into it, you would see smart contract functionality to basically make API calls and also do smart contract transactions, and you name it. It's all there. 24 in this particular suite with Overledger, with the Quant network, and of course, these API integrations. That is absolutely profound any way you want to dice it. All right, next person that we're going to get into in regard to all this that is definitely worth pointing out, and of course, it's basically what you're about to see right here, which I want to point out as well. So when we get further into this, what do you see? Well, again, check this out. EU Blockchain Observatory and Forum Workshop Report Energy Efficiency of Blockchain. If you were to go over and download this particular PTF, it's the initiative of the European Commission. Again, EU Blockchain Observatory and Forum. When we take you to the next page, and why we point out, well, it's the part about XRP. Because on page 9 of 20, Mr. Bharath Chari talked about the plans relevant to carbon that XRP Foundation has set to achieve by 2030. And if you're new to my channel, please pump the brakes on that. I'm just citing research. I'm not saying I'm a big fan of all this thing of carbon credits and so on, but it is a disclaimer. I have to put that out sometimes because some people freak out about that. So there should be a commitment to goals, as pointed out by Mr. Chari, as they are not achieved in a short period. The XRP in itself is in a different place. Like it says in the highlight, due to underlying consensus algorithm that is not becoming harder to solve. Another advantage of XRP is the use of commodity machines. I'll state it again, commodity machines. Dragging XRP through the mud, saying it was a security by the SEC. Jeez. And then you see this. So the use of commodity machines, everybody, and servers. In conjunction with the use of commodity machines, the foundation aims to be efficient in the code to allow run on more efficient systems. An intriguing fact for moving into the future is that countries with renewable energy sources available can harness blockchain and its benefits. Closing remark is that the participation of all the members is the key to a greener blockchain. And again, that's interesting to see this, especially when it comes to people like this guy, Mark Foster, EU Policy Lead, Crypto Council for Innovation. Okay, so I should have highlighted him first. And of course, who do we see here? The good old Martin Hargreaves, Chief Product Officer over at Quant Network. So that's interesting. And later on, you'll see even other people like from Circle. Again, so many people from EY. I think it's all definitely worth pointing out, and that's why we do these particular outlines. And when I say we, it's because it's the people I'm networked with and so on who definitely deserve credit with the citations and whatnot. So I think this is all a huge deal. And again, I want to take you a little bit more into all this because even when we talked about a little bit of Azure, right? It's like, okay, so that we point out the whole thing of XRP. We point out obviously a little bit of Quant, just in case you didn't see this. Azure integration opens blockchain firm Kaleido to 80% of cloud market. And we see here Kaleido's blockchain solution, at least then, dating back to 2019, does work with Microsoft Azure as well as Amazon Web Services, giving it access to most of the cloud infrastructure market. And then again, what about this? Overledger API integration. Well, boil it, mash it, stick it in the stew. Because what do we see here? 1 of 9 of Azure integrated with the Quant Overledger. I mean, another hold my beer moment, right? Thought I'd point that out. The other one I'm going to get into is when we talked about JPMorgan. There's a key participant from JPMorgan. I think that we shouldn't dismiss. And that's Stephanie Loke. Might be Locke. Might be Loke. I don't know. Remember Loke Dog from Don't Be a Menace to South Central while drinking juice in the hood?
Mr. Loke Dog?
That's me.
Oh, you're next.
I see your hobbies are drinking, smoking weed, and all types of ill shit. Yeah.
So anyway, Stephanie Loke, Senior Product Manager over at JPMorgan. Well, what you see here is, again, maybe you've never seen it. I would hope you've seen it. But it's kind of like a mind map to a sense. Quant and all their big connections. Through banking APIs, we plain as day see Citibank, JPMorgan, Deutsche Bank, HSBC, Oracle, and so on. We know that Oracle does the infrastructure for JPMorgan. We know that Oracle has obviously confirmed partnership with Quant Network, but we've been discussing that for over 2 years now. And it's interesting to see, again, how it all comes together. All right, getting further into this, some other things I want to point out for you guys, basically, is this. It's one that you may never have heard of. It's called Plume Network, or Plum. Plume, plum, tomato, tomato, right? It's this particular person, Teddy, not going to say that first part, Prinia, co-founder of Plume Network. Okay, why point out some of these people, especially like him? Well, basically, Plume Network is a layer 1. They are focused on real-world asset tokenization, and this gets interesting. So it says here, here's a list of the blockchain projects and entities partnered, of course, with Plume. You have all these ones, but the emphasis will be Fireblocks. Through the partnership, Plume Network and Fireblocks offer secure institutional access to RWA yields via Plume Arc, simplifying onboarding and capital deployment. I'm not personally invested into Plume, but man, this kind of stands out to me, and maybe some of you guys are, and we might want to research it more. And again, I only like to cover things I'm personally invested into. I kind of feel like it's hypocritical to cover things, I should say, if you're not personally invested into it. So I don't want to cover things that I'm not invested into. I only want to cover things that I am. So I don't know if you guys are aware of that policy. That's kind of like my own policy. But nonetheless, I do think that there's something here with these guys. So again, I want to point out some of these other key things because this is what really blew me away. Plume has a strategic partnership with major institutions like BlackRock and Hamilton Lane. And this is the plug that I think is really interesting. It's to tokenize U.S. Treasury products enhancing RW use case. Plume also collaborates with neobanks, fintechs, other financial institutions. They have an ecosystem that includes over 180 projects. So again, maybe I look more into it, maybe I don't. And shout out to you guys that are already into Plume. Remember how we talked about Fireblocks? Well, even with Quant, another hold my beer moment, because again, through the documentation, Fireblocks direct custodial wallet, and I shared this before, but if you're new, I welcome you. Overwallet administrator, acting as the sole custodian, by the way, maintains exclusive ownership of the master key generated on Fireblocks. This master key is divided into 3 shards, securely, say that a lot, right? Securely distributed across separate cloud environments using MPC. Key pairs derived from the master key are assigned to applications identified by the client ID and managed on Quant Connect through HD account ID. That is absolutely profound.
There you have it, guys. Thank you so much for listening or watching or both when it comes to this particular outline. It's obvious to me that there is a want and need to move forward with all of this. So simply do me a solid if you listen to the entire outline and type in this key term into the comments, and that is the biggest players. And I'll know that you listen to the entire outline. Saying goes, know what you have, know why you hold it. The research trumps FUD 110%. We will see you on the next one.
Till the roof comes up, till the lights go up, till my legs give out, can't shut my mouth, till the smoke clears out. Am I high? Perhaps. I'ma rip this shit till my bones collapse.
Till the roof comes off, till the lights go out, till my legs give out, can't shut my mouth, till the smoke clears out. Am I high? Perhaps. I'ma rip this shit till my bones collapse. Till the roof comes off, till the lights go out, till my legs give out, can't shut my mouth, till the smoke clears out. Am I high? Perhaps. I'ma rip this shit till my bones collapse.
Give out from underneath me.
Till I collapse, I'm spilling these raps long as you feel them. Till the day that I drop, you'll never say that I'm not killing them. 'Cause when I am not, then I'ma stop pinning them. And I am not hip-hop, and I'm just not Eminem. Subliminal thoughts when I'ma stop sending them. Women are caught in webs, spin them in hawk venom. Adrenaline shots of penicillin could not get the illing to stop. Amoxicillin's just not real enough. The criminal cop killing hip-hop villain, a minimal swap to cop millions of POC listeners. You're coming with me, feel it or not, you're gonna fear it like I showed you. The Spirit of God lives in us. You hear it a lot, lyrics to shock. Is it a miracle or am I just product of pop fizzing up. If I shizzle my whizzle, this is the plot, listen up. Till the roof comes off, till the lights go out, till my legs give out, can't shut my mouth, till the smoke clears out. Am I high? Perhaps. I'ma rip this shit till my bones collapse.
Comes off, till the lights go out, till my legs give out, can't shut my mouth, till the smoke clears out. Am I high? Perhaps. I'ma rip this shit till my bones collapse.
Till the roof comes off, till the lights go out.